Hey Dan, do you remember MS-DOS? Back when we were kids, we had our PC at home running Windows, various versions of Windows, whatever was up to date at the time. But a lot of our games wouldn't run through Windows, they had to be run through MS-DOS. And so a lot of times there was an option to, restart Windows in MS-DOS mode. And then the computer would reboot and we'd be met with a screen that looked a bit like this. Now this isn't MS-DOS, this is a program called DOSBox, which is a free and open source emulator that runs older programs that were originally designed to run in DOS. But since it's emulating an older program, it can be a bit tricky to navigate. Because as you can see, there is no graphical user interface, there's no way to click on anything with a mouse to select things, you just have a single command line. So what you need to know to run DOSBox is how to talk to the program. But there's only a small number of commands you need to know in order to run DOS-compatible games. So the first thing we need to do is tell DOSBox what it can access, and that's called mounting the drives. So first we're going to type in mount C, and then C:\/ games / DOSBox. And I'm writing that because I've already created a folder on my C drive. Inside a folder called games, there's a folder called DOSBox. And that's just where I save any games that I install through DOSBox. And then hit enter. And so now DOSBox will treat that folder, the DOSBox folder within the games on the C drive, as though it were the C drive. The other thing we're going to do is mount the CD-ROM, which in my case is the D drive, mount D:\/ space -T, another space, CD-ROM, one word, hit enter, and now it recognizes that drive D is the CD-ROM drive. And we can check that by typing D:\, and that'll change us to the D drive. And if we type in dir, which is short for directory, it'll show us everything that's there in the CD drive, which in this case, I have the CD for Warcraft, Orcs, and Humans. Now, we could run the setup for Warcraft, Orcs, and Humans, but I've actually already installed it. So instead, I'm going to change to the C drive by typing C:\. And now we can type in dir again to check the directory, just to see what's inside that folder. And you can see the folders I have are Diablo, EA, and Warcraft. Now we want to get into the Warcraft folder, so you type cd, which means change directory, space Warcraft. And now we've gone into the Warcraft folder there. And if you're not sure what you're looking for, you can always just type dir to check the directory, and there you can see everything laid out for you. And what we want to run is the war.exe file. So all we type in is war, press enter, give it a moment, and it boots up Warcraft, Orcs, and Humans. Now we can go through the game as per usual. Start a new game, load existing, replay the introduction if you want to see the cinematic. But that's all we're going to cover for now, so we're just going to hit quit to DOS, and that'll take us back down into DOSBox. And to close out the program, all you need to do is type exit, and it will shut down. All right. Now there's one other thing I wanted to cover, and that's a couple of settings that you may want to change. When you first open up DOSBox, you'll see that it's in a window with a rather small resolution. So what you do is open up the DOSBox options, which will open up this text file. Now scroll down to this section here, and where it says full screen equals false, change that to full screen equals true. Again, you don't have to do this, but it is a good option if you find that the windowed resolution is too small. We're then going to scroll down to the CPU section, and here where it says cycles, we're going to change cycles equals auto to cycles equals 20,000. And that will limit the number of cycles per millisecond that DOSBox will emulate. And that should help the games run a bit smoother, since the original hardware they were running on was a lot slower than modern processors. And the third thing we're going to do is scroll all the way to the bottom to the auto exec section. And it's labeled very helpfully that lines in this section will be run at startup, which means that we can type in our mounting instructions so that we don't have to do that every single time we open DOSBox. It will automatically mount the C drive if we type in mount C:\games /DOSBox, and then add in a second line to mount D:\space -T space CD-ROM to mount the CD-ROM drive. Now all we do is save the file, close it, and the next time we open DOSBox, it'll be in full screen with max cycles of 20,000 and with the C and D drives mounted automatically, which saves you a bit of time in typing. Now, the exact changes you make to your settings can vary depending on what program or game you're running. But I found that if you search online for the name of the game plus DOSBox settings, then usually someone has already figured out the optimal settings, and you can go through and change them as needed. Alright, Dan, I hope that was helpful. I'll definitely be using DOSBox to play a lot of the games going forward, but I wanted to make sure that you understood how to get things running on your own end, if that's something you're interested in. Well, if you have any questions, just let me know. I'll talk to you later.